You think you know this story. The genius, the visionary, the richest man on earth. You've seen the quotes on Instagram. You've heard the podcasts. But there's a specific version of this story that almost nobody tells accurately, because when you look at the actual documents, the real timeline, the court filings, and the contemporaneous accounts, it gets more complicated and more interesting. Let's start in 1995. Elon Musk is 24 years old, just arrived in Silicon Valley, and enrolled in a Stanford PhD program. He lasts 2 days. He and his brother Kimball rent a small office in Palo Alto for around $400 a month, cheaper than an apartment. They sleep on futons that double as a couch during the day. When they need to shower, they walk a few blocks to the local YMCA. Musk described this himself in a 2014 USC commencement speech and separately at a Wharton Business School talk. The office had a leaky roof. Their startup capital was $28,000 from their father and whatever they could scrape together personally. Musk had about $2,000 in his bank account when Zip2 launched. Their strategy was extreme frugality. As Musk later put it, when you are first starting out, you really need to make your burn rate ridiculously tiny. Don't spend more than you are sure you have. Zip2 was essentially an online business directory with maps, city guides for newspapers, built before Google Maps existed. The New York Times, the Chicago Tribune, Hearst, Knight Ridder all signed on. In 1999, Compaq acquired Zip2 for $307 million in cash. Musk walked away with $22 million for his 7% share and looked back on the experience with frustration. He wanted to realize the full potential of the internet and felt all he had done was make himself rich. He immediately put $10 million of his own money into a new company called XCOM, an online bank. It launched in December 1999 and within 2 months had over 200,000 signups. XCOM then merged with a competitor called Confinity, which had a small peer-to-peer payments product called PayPal. The merged company was bigger, messier, and full of internal conflict. Musk was CEO. The problem was that almost everyone in a senior position at the company had serious doubts about his leadership. There were technical disputes. Musk wanted to rebuild the entire platform on Microsoft infrastructure, which the engineering team thought was a serious mistake. There were clashes over branding. There was a board that was quietly losing confidence. What followed was, by one account, one of the nastiest coups in Silicon Valley's long history of nasty coups. A small group of XCOM employees gathered one night at a bar in Palo Alto and brainstormed how to push Musk out. They decided to sell the board on the idea of Peter Thiel returning as CEO, and they chose to act while Musk was away. Musk and his first wife Justine had married in January 2000 and been too busy for a honeymoon. 9 months later, in September, they planned a fundraising trip that ended in Sydney, Australia, to catch the Olympics, a delayed honeymoon combined with business. As they boarded the flight, XCOM executives delivered letters of no confidence to the board. Investor Peter Thiel, board member Reid Hoffman, and product chief David Sachs had secured the backing they needed. Musk was in Australia when he found out. He cut his honeymoon short and flew back to the Bay Area to try to reverse the decision, but the board had made up its mind. He was removed as CEO. He was 29 years old. He stayed on as an investor and advisor. When eBay acquired PayPal in 2002 for $1.5 billion, Musk, as the largest individual shareholder, received approximately $250 million before taxes, according to multiple documented sources including the Isaacson biography. Most people at this point would stop. They would find something comfortable to do with $250 million. Musk instead did something that, by his own later admission, he thought had a high probability of failure. He put $100 million into a rocket company. In 2002, he founded SpaceX with the explicit goal of making humanity a multiplanetary species. The aerospace industry's reaction was closer to contempt than skepticism. The first Falcon 1 launch took place on March 24, 2006, from a launch pad on Omelek Island in the Marshall Islands. The vehicle lost control at T plus 26 seconds, pitched over violently, and impacted a reef about 250 feet from the launch site. The failure was caused by a fuel line leak and subsequent fire. The second launch, in March 2007, failed due to a roll control malfunction. The third, in August 2008, failed when the first and second stages collided during separation. The first stage, after performing well, had just enough residual thrust from fuel evaporation to catch up to the second stage and knock it off course. Musk has described those years directly. "I messed up the first 3 launches. The first 3 launches failed. Fortunately, the fourth launch, that was the last money that we had, the fourth launch worked, or that would have been it for SpaceX." Meanwhile, in 2004, Musk had invested $6.35 million of his own money to lead the Series A funding round for a small electric car startup called Tesla Motors. Tesla had been founded in July 2003 by Martin Eberhard and Mark Tarpenning, 2 engineers who believed electric vehicles could be built to be genuinely desirable, not just practical. Musk became the majority shareholder and chairman of the board. He was heavily involved in design decisions, but not in day-to-day operations. Eberhard ran the company as CEO. By 2007, the relationship had broken down. The Roadster was behind schedule and over budget. In August 2007, Musk led the board in asking Eberhard to step down. After a period of interim leadership, Musk became CEO of Tesla in October 2008, at almost exactly the same moment that SpaceX was running out of money and his personal finances were collapsing. The divorce from Justine began in the spring of 2008. According to court documents filed in the subsequent divorce proceedings and confirmed by Musk in an interview with VentureBeat, he had been living off personal loans from friends since October 2009 and spending $200,000 a month while making far less. He wrote in a court filing, "About 4 months ago, I ran out of cash." His assets were largely illiquid, stakes in private companies and partnerships that couldn't be quickly converted to cash. He later clarified in a public essay that he never claimed to be broke in the sense of having no assets, but the personal cash crisis was real and documented. His second wife, actress Tallulah Riley, who met him during this period, gave an account to Musk biographer Ashley Vance that has been widely cited. She described watching him through a period of borrowing hundreds of thousands of dollars, burning through $4 million a month to keep his projects alive, borrowing from friends to make payroll, and negotiating with investors. She said he lost a lot of weight, bags formed under his eyes, and that he seemed like a man on the brink. On September 28, 2008, the fourth Falcon 1 launched. It reached orbit. It was the first privately developed liquid-fueled rocket to do so. In December 2008, NASA awarded SpaceX a contract worth $1.6 billion to resupply the International Space Station using the Falcon 9 rocket, a vehicle that didn't yet exist, but that SpaceX now had the resources to build. Tesla, meanwhile, had secured just enough emergency funding at the end of 2008, $40 million, the last of it finalized on Christmas Eve, to survive. The company went public in 2010, raising $226 million in its IPO, the first American automaker to go public since Ford in 1956. A 2009 legal settlement between Musk and Tesla's original founders officially recognized Musk as a co-founder of the company, along with Eberhard, Tarpenning, Ian Wright, and J.B. Straubel. The designation came from a lawsuit settlement, not a rewriting of history, which matters for accuracy, even if the distinction has largely faded from public memory. In June 2012, Tesla began deliveries of the Model S. The luxury sedan received widespread acclaim for its performance, safety features, and range of up to 265 miles on a single charge. It was named Motor Trend's Car of the Year. Consumer Reports gave it its highest-ever car rating the following year. It outsold the Mercedes-Benz S-Class and BMW 7 Series in the United States. The Model 3 followed in 2017, and the Model Y in 2020. In 2018, Musk tweeted that he had secured funding to take Tesla private at $420 per share. He had not. The SEC charged him with securities fraud. The settlement required him to pay a $20 million fine and step down as Tesla's chairman for 3 years, though he remained CEO. According to Forbes, Musk's net worth crossed $600 billion in mid-December 2025, derived primarily from his ownership stakes in Tesla and SpaceX. What the documented record actually shows is a man who got pushed out of a company he built at 29, who started a rocket company that failed 3 times before it worked, who became CEO of a car company he didn't found, during the same months that his personal cash ran out and his marriage ended, and who was still there, running both companies, when the financial window closed just long enough for both to survive. The specifics matter more than the myth. The myth is frictionless. The record is not.